Good afternoon on what is a bright, clear but chilly day. It is Wednesday, the 15th of December. I am back in the read nook with a nice hot cup of tea. And a cat who's not out on my lap. And some interesting things to unbox. So starting with this, I'm just going to fiddle around with the knife to get this open, making sure that I do not stab cat who is not ours. And so let's just hold this over here. There we go. I'm pulling this out. Okay, this is Heartseeker, being a traditional fantasy game, fantasy adventure game by Scott Malthouse. There's the character sheet on the back, so you've got basically physical, mental, aura, stats, armor class, name, bloodline class, inventory and so on. So very simple. Just from the layout, and inside you've got the complete role-playing game on the inside of the pamphlet. Now I've already done an unboxing of essentially there's an adventure for this, but there wasn't actually an adventure, a system available for it at the time, except not in print anyway. So I was very glad when Scott Malthouse, who the designer of Romance of the Perilous Kingdom for Osprey Games, as well as a number of little other small press titles, such as Quill, which is basically a journaling letter writing game, and You Merry Outlaws, which is essentially a take upon sort of like the Robin Hood legend, actually put this out in print. Once we get past the really attractive cover with a dragon of some kind there, we have quite a dense layout in there. I mean, obviously, after all, there's quite a lot of information you've got to get to the referee and then your players, and not a lot of space in which to do it, especially if you're going to, essentially, when you're limiting yourself to, okay, one space, you've got effectively 4 pages, one has to be the cover and one has to be the character sheet. So that's 2 pages already gone. So let's have a look. Okay, so we have 3 stats, physical, mental, aura, all rolled on 3d6, and there's a bonus if you roll 14 plus. Saves are also similar, are basically physical, mental, or aura. Classes you have warrior, thief, wizard, cleric, pathfinder. So essentially we have the classic 4, and pathfinder obviously sort of covering like the ranger type. Bloodline is essentially effectively the equivalent of your race. So human, elf, dwarf, gnome, kobold, catfolk, goblin, orc, ratkin. No specific benefits to that except role-playing. You've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spells: arcane shot, fireworks, unlock, enchant weapon, illusion, sleep, prayers, mending hands, god shield, remove, condition. So really quite simple. Ability checks: make an ability check, roll under the relevant ability with a d20 to succeed. Advantage, disadvantage, roll as you would expect. So essentially, excuse me, combat is as simple as you would expect, but you are kind of doing this. It's not a true, which completely player facing in that essentially where in Black Hat you are rolling under your stat to hit and then rolling under another stat to avoid. Here you'd actually have armor class and you are rolling against that. Cloth armor is armor class 11, plate armor class 16, shield adds +1. And then we've got stats for the weapons. Essentially, they don't. Weapons all basically do the same amount of damage. They only different stats. And you've got listed monsters. So that's really it. This really is essentially an OSR, old school Renaissance style micro game. And what this is effectively means is if you've got an adventure, you can. I mean, with this, it means essentially you've got an adventure. You can start running this automatically because the language is more or less is the same. The only thing that is kind of different here is the ability check rolling under a stat, and there's some. You've got the stats there really. Essentially of physical, mental, and aura cover all six traditional Dungeons and Dragons style stats. So yeah, really kind of easy. But ideally, what you really want, I think, is it's not really something like a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition adventure to adapt to this, because there's a lot. Because essentially, not that you couldn't, but rather there's a lot of things to take out of that before you get down to essentially what Heartseeker is. The idea essentially, Heartseeker, you are seeking for the heart of what an old school Renaissance style game is. And also the fact that it's a riff upon Heartbreaker, basically the term Heartbreaker, as in fantasy Heartbreaker, which really began appearing in the wake of Dungeons and Dragons' first publication, with everybody going, yeah, I've played Dungeons and Dragons, but I'm sure I could do it better. And in some cases, arguably, they did. Or except, if not better, they did it differently, let's say. So, for example, Rollmaster and then MERP and so on are offshoots of essentially supplements that were designed to augment and supplement Advanced Dungeons and Dragons with a different combat system, set of tables to roll upon when doing critical hits, etc. And you think you have things also like the Arduin trilogy and as well, which is a very early Dungeons and Dragons retro clone, if you will, but really, again, that fantasy Heartbreaker, i.e., Dungeons and Dragons did it first, but I think I can do it better. I want to try and get to the one true way of role-playing Dungeons and Dragons style, but still having that look back, that nod back to Dungeons and Dragons. And then there are, in addition, you have role-playing games which were written sort of like in opposition to Dungeons and Dragons. Whether that was, when I say opposition, essentially people wrote it in reaction to it. So obviously Tunnels and Trolls, which is simpler and faster, has a flexible resolution mechanic, and also RuneQuest to an extent. Essentially, that was an attempt to do something different along the same lines, but again, then it came with its own world. So anyway, I kind of digress. So, but Heartseeker fits in that mold. It also fits in that, basically the micro, well, not the micro, but essentially the mini RPG, sort of like the gap between them. Micro RPGs are really sort of like fitting on as little space as this, so I think this probably does qualify as a micro RPG. Yeah, it probably does actually, since it's attempting to distill your old school Renaissance retro clone style game down to as much to as little space as possible. So that very easily you could just pick this up and keep going. You start playing. There are a lot of, I think, when you if you go back and look at a lot of the sort of like look at sort of like a lot of the earlier role-playing content for Dungeons and Dragons, and when they were writing also for basic Dungeons and Dragons, and stuff like, you look at the stuff from Judges Guild or magazine adventures which appeared in White Dwarf, for example. The language is very simple in terms of stats and so on, such that you could actually play those scenarios using this very easily, I would imagine. I've just finished playing the Lich Wheel, which appeared in White Dwarf, early White Dwarf issue 14 or something like that. And I'm looking at that thinking, yeah, I could run that using this very simply. Anyway, this is available in print as I post this this up. But obviously, you may want to check. But it's certainly going to be available as a PDF, and I will post a link to Scott's itch.io page for your, to purchase it, and I'll also post a link to the scenario which I did an unboxing of as well. Okay, well, thank you for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you posting those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you will see me here with a parcel, or basically package, which I will unbox and reveal a book or game, which I will talk about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by, in this case, a cat who is not ours, and a nice cup of tea. Please do hit that subscribe button. Once again, thanks for watching. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.